Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage co-founder and CEO of IoTracks Incorporated, Param Singh.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the third and final day of the conference. I don't know if you were here at IoT World last year. It was at Moscone West. And I can assure you that the conference has really doubled in size. I was talking to Gavin about the statistics, and I think we have over 10,000 attendees during the conference. And so a little bit about the conference itself. As you know, IoT is a very, very, very broad concept. And the way we got broad coverage of this broad concept was by combining IoT World with Apps World as well as Wearable World. And that gives us the breadth of topics, everything from the Smart Cities track, where you had Miguel speaking from the city of San Francisco, where I'm an IoT advisor, to the open source track, where we believe that there is a lot of potential for interoperability to really happen through open source, to a lot of the mobility tracks and the enterprise IoT. And then Wearable World has all these tracks on the growth of wearables, not just from watches, but for things that you actually wear. So there was just one topic I wanted to cover in IoT, and that is that of interoperability. So there's been a lot of research done across a bunch of companies, not just research and analyst companies, but if you look at all the large platform providers in the space. And traditionally, I come from the embedded world, so I've been in IoT, what is now called IoT, for a fairly long time. And what we see is that there have been silos. So literally, we had vertical solutions. If you take smart cities, we had vertical solutions for transportation. We have vertical solutions for traffic lights. We had vertical solutions for physical security. And the issue becomes that as we envision this world, with billions and billions of sensors, continuing with these silos is just not a viable business proposition. However, we are still at a place where you have individual platforms that are now open, but they're only open in the sense of having SDKs or RESTful APIs. And that is not sufficient for really delivering the kind of interoperability we need. So you're not supposed to read the detail of that slide, as some of it is in 0.5 font size. But the key is that there's a whole, when we talk about interoperability, these just show, let's say, 10 different layers of the IoT stack. Everything from the sensors connecting over, say, a local mesh network that you might use in a home over things like Zigbee, Z-Wave, and Google has Thread. And then over to gateways that actually collect the information and may aggregate them. So you may not realize if you live in San Francisco and you have a smart meter, the smart meter collects it from the home, but then it goes to a collection point. And from that collection point, the data gets aggregated and then goes to another center. And then the information is moved up to what you would call a data center. And of course, it might move to the cloud. So there's that layer at the gateway level. And then you have a whole range of networks. It used to be that you would connect these things that were hardwired, right? So you might use, but now we have a full range of networks. So whether it's Bluetooth low energy or actual radio networks like long range, low power. And these networks are going to become increasingly important. So in the city of San Francisco, we actually installed, in partnership with a company called Sigfox, we installed the Sigfox long-range, low-power network across the city, so that as we get new sensors, you don't have to connect them over 3GPP, cellular. It's just not cost-effective. So then you get that layer, and you get a whole range of protocols that are associated with it. In addition, you may need collection points at a city block level, where you have a variety of sensors that need to be brought together at an integrated gateway. And of course, there is the cloud. My personal view is that not everything needs to go to the cloud. So there are many, many use cases where real time is critically important in manufacturing, in oil and gas, especially in industry, and smart city use cases, where we need the sensor information to be correlated on the edge long before it goes to the cloud. And then the data can also go to the cloud layer, where it can be aggregated, post-process. You have all the Hadoop clusters that give you better analytics. And then there's the presentation layer. And the thing I want to point out in the presentation layer is that we have existing dashboards in industry and business and smart cities where there are operators who've been trained on it. So a young startup comes along and says, hey, look at this cool little dashboard I did for my IoT device, could you use it, please? And the answer might be, no, we need that integrated into an existing dashboard. So the presentation layer is critically important. And then I think the last and most important thing is you have to be delivering core value to, in the city case, the residents, or in businesses, core business value. I have seen so many projects where it's look at a cool sensor, look at what we are doing, look at the analytics we are delivering. It doesn't integrate, it doesn't interoperate, it doesn't fit into the business processes. It doesn't let me set thresholds from my current business system with that sensor. So I think this need for interoperability, though everyone talks about it, the issue is no one is going in at the level of detail that we need to in the industry. So yesterday I did a talk on open source, and we had a whole track on open source. And I'll be publishing it on my LinkedIn profile. But what's interesting is that over the last 10 years, all the platforms that really gained dominance have been open source, right? So from Apache Web Server to Java to Android, which is also Java. But in the open source, we have hundreds of projects. But again, they haven't been orchestrated so that you can really build solutions, end-to-end solutions. And the reason open source is interesting with the kind of projects Eclipse is doing is that it's a neutral ground where device vendors may be comfortable posting their components that can be used by everybody. Solution providers can get up and running, developers can get up and running. And then the enterprise also values open source because there's vendor neutrality. There's no vendor lock-in. So there is a whole range of this discussion going on, but I think this is where the heart of the matter lies for the next couple of years. And the devil is not at the highest level. The level lies in the details, and the devil lies at each layer of the stack.